Hi guys, welcome back to the Stick My Sessions podcast. This episode sees me chat with Imani Wj Wright, who is an artist, a songwriter, live performer. He owns and runs his own brand. He writes live reviews here at Stereo Stickman and also for a couple of other websites and publications. He's essentially the epitome of a hard-working, driven creative today. His experiences offer plenty of proof that if you do persist and keep moving forwards, take opportunity when it comes, then you will start to see the results that you dream of. He's recently performed at Sofar Sounds, he's given a TED Talk, he's also supported some pretty big names on big stages, and things are rightfully starting to snowball for him. So it was fantastic to be able to just chat about all this and get some real insight as to how he keeps things evolving and how he
who's the drummer for the group Ween. We're pretty close, and he's like working on some guitar licks for it. So hopefully we get it in the studio pretty soon.
Oh, that's cool. That's really cool. So, how do you write songs then? Well, I guess it's probably different when you wrote one when you were 7, but how do you generally get started when you write something new now?
The writing process is always funny for me because sometimes things directly inspire a song that I'm doing. Sometimes it's just a character that I'm putting on. But the writing process is typically not really. I don't really write anymore, and that's like a secret I was kind of keeping in for a long time. But I'm letting it out here today. I don't really write, man. Half of the time I just come up with a chorus, and I pick a couple words that I want to use here and there, and I just go into the booth and just kick it. You know? I think you get the most organic sound that way. Yeah.
You just kind of freestyle it in the moment.
Kind of, but I kind of have a concept, and I already have my hook written. I write my hooks prior because that's kind of like it's the hook. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
you gotta have a hook down. So I write the hook. Sure. Yeah, and I have like a couple like key words I know I want to use throughout the song, but from there to kind of you know what I mean. Like from there to kind of keep away from a generic and kind of like determined sound. I kind of just give it a little freeway.
No,
I'm actually recording. Yeah,
I think that's great. Yeah, you get something a bit more genuine. I'm pretty sure I heard that Lil Wayne does that as well in a recent interview. He said,
"Yeah, Wayne. I don't think Wayne writes anything at all."
Yeah, and has trouble remembering his lyrics as well for the same reason.
Right. Yeah.
No, that's cool. So most recently you've just released, I think, a video. Was Home the last thing that you put out?
Yes, Home was the last video, yes.
Okay, cool. So was that an in the moment thing, or did you write that?
Man, Home was the most in the moment song I've ever done in my entire life. So my friend Luke and I, he's the guy that directed the video, Lukey Lens. We were supposed to go out to get some sushi with like 2 friends of ours. And I was getting ready to leave the house, and then the producer, I heard this producer's track, and I was like, yo, this is crazy. Like I gotta record on this right now. And I was looking for something that was a little more upbeat and a little more like commercial-ish, because I was kind of like on an acoustic wave, and I was like doing kind of abstract stuff, right? So I was like, let me kind of do something that's a little more like on the commercial side of things, but still my style, you know? So I was like, Luke, I was like, bro, hold up, man. I'm ready to leave. Just give me like a little bit of time to record this real quick. And I kept like messing up. Not even messing up necessarily. It just wasn't the sound I wanted. So I tried again. And the last time I recorded it, I recorded the whole song in like 3 minutes. And I mixed and mastered it. And I was like, yo, I think this is going to be pretty popular. I was like, believe me, I said, we're probably going to be late for sushi, and they probably already left the restaurant, but believe me, it was all worth it. And yeah, you know, I think it just hit like 50,000 streams a couple of days ago on YouTube. So
yes, doing amazingly.
It's been moving pretty well.
And how have you pushed that? Like, what have you done in the way of promotion and stuff?
Honestly, just trying to get it played at like college parties. Getting it in different publications across the world, really.
Yeah.
Publication in New York, publication in Canada. Baltimore Times have written about me. And honestly, it's been a lot of just organic growth.
Yeah.
Which is beautiful. You know, I've ran a lot of different advertisements on my Instagram, on my Facebook. My dad has, my sister has, you know, so just getting everybody to push and spread the word, you know, so.
Yeah. So it's like a combination of putting in the work and obviously it being a great track as well. That's kind of the magic formula, I guess.
It's funny because it's so hard to really kind of come up with a formula for this type of thing, you know, even when it comes to yourself, because like my song Consistency, it has a lot of Shazams because it's played a lot on the radio. I think like Birmingham, England is the number one place it's played.
That's cool.
But it doesn't have a lot of like YouTube streams, right? So it's just kind of like I'm just trying to figure out what is the move, man? What is it really to do? Because even with my own music, I try to figure out what's the right push. I mean, obviously, when you get to a certain level, your name is the push. Like if you're at a level of like Kendrick or a level of, you know, like Chris Stapleton or people on that level, your name is just a push, you know.
Yeah.
But
you can put it on any platform,
you know, exactly. But you know, before that, how do we get there? I think it's just having good quality stuff, having a realistic relationship with you and yourself. Like literally, you and your music have to have a realistic relationship. Like, is this really good music? You know, sometimes you get caught up in, you know, you can get caught up in your own sound because, you know, your music is your baby, right? So, you know, you get caught up in your own sound, man. You might not really realize that the public might not receive this too well because maybe it doesn't sound as good as you think. So, you know, as long as you're realistic with yourself and you look at your music objectively and you put in that work, sometimes you even got to put in some money. You know, it's just that's just the way things go, you know, and you'll be all right.
No, that's a really good attitude. I like that. So you're based in Baltimore at the minute, is that right?
Yeah, Baltimore, a little bit of Pennsylvania, but yeah, okay. Baltimore for the most part.
So what's the live music scene like there, and is it something that you're involved with?
Yeah, the music scene down here is, so you gotta understand, like we're so close to DC, right?
Okay.
So, you know, the capital of the US, man. I mean, as everyone knows, so it's like the music scene down here, how do I say it? I love that question actually. It's a lot of people down here who are really into hip hop, and there's a lot of people down here who are supportive of a lot of different types of music. And there's really so many different places down in Baltimore that you can perform, like Bolton Hill, Peace and a Cup of Joe. So like a lot of little startup places for artists that might not feel comfortable to take on a big stage yet or don't have the ability or the opportunity to. So I can tell you for a fact, man, if you're like a young artist or artist just getting started in Baltimore, there's a lot of places for you to start performing, and I think that's one part that I love about it. Yeah.
Yeah, that's really nice. So, what about? Do you get over to DC as well? Then, with it being so close, is there a lot more going on there?
Rebecca, listen, I was in DC like 3 weeks in a row last month. I couldn't stay out of DC last month, man. Yeah. So yeah, I performed in DC like 2 or 3 times recently. But I'm also a writer, so I go down there and I do show reviews. Like I did a Wale show review. I was at the Washington Post and I did a review of what's her name? Odd Mojo. No, is it Odd Mojo? I don't know. I think her name's Odd Mojo. Yeah, and One Slice. So yeah.
Right. How have you? I wanted to ask about your singing because your singing voice is really interesting and really nice to listen to. Have you? Is it something that you've worked on over time? Like, how have you honed that, or is it just a natural thing that comes to you?
Yeah. So actually, I was an opera singer before any of this had even began. I'm classically trained to sing in German, Italian, Spanish, and French, and Old English, but I never really delved too deeply into Old English.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. So I was trained at the Peabody Institute, at Carver Center for the Arts, and at the Washington National Opera, and I even had written the story plot and some of the music in an opera called Industrial Love, which was performed at the Lyric Opera House of Baltimore.
That's amazing.
Yeah, thank you.
Wow. So, and then obviously, you just branched away and crafted your own style.
Yeah, my instructor at Peabody, Miss Carol Cavey Miles, who I give so much credit to for honing in on my voice and really progressing my voice to where it is today. She was the epitome of someone who was into technique. She was just so big on technique and just learning about your physical body and how to use it to your advantage to be just a better singer. And even though I sing a different type of music and I write a different type of music now, that technique still plays a huge part in my in my vocal ability and in the way I sing today.
Okay. So it stayed with you throughout everything.
Oh, it has to. I mean, it's installed in you because you did it for hours and hours and hours a week,
What is it? Like breathing techniques and
breathing techniques, learning about your soft palate, your hard palate, your diaphragm, how to stand.
Just understanding how the voice works and how to use it.
The voice, the body, even the mental. I mean, she was real big on meditation. We didn't necessarily meditate every Saturday or meditate on Thursday, but she was real big on meditation, and it really kind of helped me to just even calm down when it came to like performances and just came to learning a song and then realizing that you can learn a song in a week, or you can have this down in this amount of time. So really just a holistic process of being an artist and being a performer.
So has that had a knock-on effect on like your confidence then now as a stage performer?
As a stage performer,
do you ever struggle with?
Oh, do I struggle with my confidence as a stage performer?
Yeah.
You know what? It's so funny. I used to, but then I did musical theater, right? And Rebecca, like musical theater takes a lot of exuberance and a lot of enthusiasm and a lot of like having to put yourself out there. And if you don't, people are going to be like, this guy is terrible. It's musical theater and this guy's boring. So when I started doing musical theater, and thank you, Miss Carol Cavey Miles again. She gave me this song called "She Loves Me" from the musical "She Loves Me," and we had a master class with this woman from Broadway, and I really can't remember her name. Forgive me, whoever it is, I can't remember her name. And she came in, and I got on stage, and I was being all technical and whatnot, right? And then she said, "Take your suit off." I said, "What?" So she comes over, she makes me take my suit jacket off, right? She's like, "Throw it to the side." So I took my suit jacket and I threw it to the side. And I felt embarrassed, right? I felt embarrassed. But this moment really broke the ice for me as a stage performer. Like, yo, you can really go out here and have a good time because the audience wants to see you have a good time, So from that moment and from that masterclass, everything had changed for me, and really my nervousness as a performer had gone down so much. I mean, I still get nervous before a show, but now I realize that, hey man, it's my stage, it's my time. Let's go out here and just have a good time. So, as a performer, man, I have a show like this Saturday, and it's one of my biggest shows of my life. It's in Lancaster, Pennsylvania, or Lancaster.
Yeah, I saw.
Yeah, and I feel no nerves about it because I know people are there to see me. People are there to see the band, and I practice enough, and perfect preparation prevents poor performance. So it's all good. Yeah.
Amazing. Yeah, I saw that that one's coming up. So you're playing with a full band?
Yes, ma'am. Mumar Muhammad, one of the greatest guitarists I met in my life, and Robert Wooden III. He's a drummer, and he's just crazy talented too. He's just a heck of a musical mind, more so than anything. Yeah.
Are you going to play exclusively originals, or you mix it up a little bit?
Yeah, Beck, I don't do covers, honestly. I really don't.
Oh, okay.
I've never done a cover in my life. When it comes to like my shows, yeah. Maybe actually let me stop. I did "Isn't She Lovely" by Stevie Wonder one time during a Halloween show.
Fair enough. That one snuck through.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. And will you be like live streaming it? Will there be any footage of it afterwards that people can check out?
There will definitely be footage. Lukey Lenz will be he'll record it obviously and make like a video. He might do like a vlog type thing. Those are always fun. Okay. But it won't be live streaming. I mean, I don't know. I might live stream it on Facebook. People have been asking me to, so I might.
Yeah.
I might, yeah.
Okay. So if we talk about branching out a little bit, then if would you just tell us a little bit about what Swano is and how you started it and what it represents?
Yeah. So Swano was and it's funny because some people don't really pronounce it right on the first go. Some people say Swano. Yeah, to
be honest, I thought it was Swano, and then I listened to a podcast that you put on recently and heard you pronounce it, so I cheated a little bit.
Oh, okay, no problem. Yeah, so Swano was an ad lib that I use in my music. And one day my dad was like, yo, let's take it from just an ad lib to like a concept, because it had no meaning behind it, and there was no word Swano in the English language either, right? So I was like, okay, this is something I'm just saying, So I have no idea where it came from. I don't know what made me start saying it. It was almost like some kind of like out of body experience I was having in the middle of one of my songs that was actually never released. This is like an unreleased song I never released. So I was like, yo, I was kind of grasping what I hold myself around, what's important to me, and what I kind of want my music to be about. And I realized it came down to idealism, virtuosity, and progression. So Swano, man, the word itself and the symbol itself is not that important. It's what surrounds it. And like I'll say again, progression, virtuosity, and idealism. And basically it's kind of like that word and that sound and all the clothes. When you're wearing that, it's like you're encompassing all those things, all three of those things, you know what I mean? So yeah. It's basically, Swano isn't just a line, it's merch for that lifestyle, if that makes sense.
Okay, yeah, definitely.
Yeah, it's merchandise for that lifestyle, and it just shows that you're a part of the community, and that, you also follow that way of life, to always be progressive and to always have something in your back pocket and always be idealistic,
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
So you're also doing like a little bit of, obviously you could do the live show reviews at the minute. Are you doing that under the Swano brand, or are you just doing that individually or for various publications? The
live show reviews? Yeah. So I'm doing that for the Baltimore Times, but honestly, it's Swano and the Baltimore Times just partnered with us,
Okay. Cool.
But I'm not like an employee of the Baltimore Times. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
it's just that we partnered. Exactly. So I'm still very much so a freelancer. Yes.
Okay, cool. So how important do you think networking is at the moment in the music industry, and sort of being involved in a little bit of everything to
how important
build
is
a career
networking
for yourself? Yeah.
Oh my, it's everything. I mean, networking is everything, man. I mean, listen, I might be doing coverage for the Travis Scott show on Thursday, right? And well, all my friends were like, "Yo, how did you get this opportunity?" Well, I find out tomorrow if we're actually doing coverage or not, right? But it's up in the air. But how did I get the opportunity to possibly cover the Travis Scott show? So this is how the whole line of things got started, right? And this is how important networking is. And people have to understand that sometimes networking takes time. Like one, do you know like the whole 6 degrees of separation? Are you familiar with that?
Yeah. Of course, yeah.
So like, knowing one person might not be the exact connect, but it's the person that they know and the person they know, right? So 3 years ago now, 2.5 years ago, I released this project that was never released. I only had hard copies of it. It's not online or anything. It was called Consciously Oblivious. I had walked up to the Baltimore Times, right? I literally walked up to the Baltimore Times door. I waited for the entertainment writer at the time to leave, to leave work. I waited like an hour and a half outside. I'm surprised I didn't get in trouble for this or anything with security, but I waited an hour and a half outside. And I gave the guy my CD. And he calls me and he says, "Yo, I like this and that. I want to write about it." He never writes about it. And that's okay. That's fine. He never writes about it. Fast forward a year later now, I connect with the Baltimore Times myself because of the guy that I knew. And from there, they hired me, and they didn't hire me, but they partnered with Swano Down. And then from there, they connected me with the venue, and now I'm possibly doing coverage for the Travis Scott show. So it took 4 different, I think 3 or 4, whatever, 3 to 4 different connections for me to get to one point. But, you have to always constantly knock down doors, because the second time I went to the Baltimore Times, I rang on the intercom bell or whatever, and they literally told me to leave because I didn't have an appointment,
Yeah.
So I was just like, okay, that's fair. You know what I mean? So networking is highly important, because if you're not networking, you're really not, because 9 times out of 10, you're not going to just explode because you just have great material,
But a lot of people don't understand that. I think that's a common, more common than you think. A lot of people tend to think that they can write this amazing thing and just sit at home and, and it'll just magically kind of find its way to everybody's living rooms, which just isn't the case, unfortunately.
I think Henry David Thoreau said, if I'm not mistaken, I think he said the dullest pen is better than the sharpest mind. And I say that to say this, like, actually physically writing is like symbolic of physically putting in the work. You know what I mean? And you can have the sharpest mind, which can be metaphorical for you having great material and great creativity. But who else has amazing creativity out there? You know what I mean? It's so much music out here and there's so many talented people, but it has to be something that separates us, right? So
yeah, for sure.
The thing that I think creates that separation really is the who you know. And sometimes you have to create the people that you know. Like people always say, it's not about, what's the expression, Rebecca? It's not about what you know, it's who you know. Is that what it is?
So yeah.
Yeah, and sometimes people feel like, well, I don't know anybody, and some people have an advantage over me, but I don't really believe in that, man. Like, I didn't really intrinsically just know people when I started this thing. I had to create my own environment. I had to create my own team. I had to create the people who can lead me to another place. And how did I do that? Constantly knocking down doors, constantly doing research, sending 200 emails, only getting 2 replies. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
it's just
absolutely.
like, constantly
so it ties in with the
knocking down
confidence
doors.
thing as well.
I'm sorry?
It ties in with the confidence thing as well. Like, constantly having that drive to just keep going and knowing that it might be 100 emails down the line that someone actually gets back. But, I think just believing that it will.
Yeah, definitely. I think the big thing is, honestly, Rebecca, is like, the biggest thing out of the whole thing is like understanding that at the end of the tunnel, there really is something. And that's the hardest thing to kind of wrap around your head. Like if you just look at everything in the present and just look at the means and not think about the end. I try to keep my head off of the means. Like If I think about the present all the time and not the future, I would quit. I mean, it would be, if I thought about, okay, this is where I am right now, I would quit because I don't see an end goal. I don't really see a real end. But if you have your mind set on a legitimate end and you really see it and you know the steps to take and you know that this can happen and this can happen and this can happen, if I do it this way, it's bound to just break, then I think it becomes a lot easier. And I think the time that you put into it and what you put into it and the money you put into it, you do it a lot more freely because you know there's really an end game, so
Yeah.
I don't know, man. I think last month I put 70% of the money I made back into my career and the rest I spent at Olive Garden.
Okay. Fair enough. It's a good balance.
Yeah,
Awesome. Okay. So obviously the first time that we connected was when you started writing a few reviews for us. And if I remember
actually,
rightly,
believe it or not, you guys actually wrote an article about me like a year before I even connected with you.
No, you're absolutely right. Sorry about that. I totally forgot. We did.
Yeah.
What was the release?
Consistency. Yeah.
Yeah. No, I was just having a quick search through. Yeah, my apologies. It was. How did you stumble upon us then?
Oh, I was looking for different reviews to do online and whatnot, like looking for people to submit music into. And
that's right.
Yeah, I came across a lot of places that looked okay, but I really looked at the writing that you guys do, and I was like, wow, I kind of like the detail and kind of even the feedback that they give. I just decided to submit to you all.
So what appealed about writing reviews to you then later on?
Like myself writing reviews?
Yeah.
I forgot. It's kind of funny. We were talking the whole time. I was like, wow, I really did write reviews for you guys. It's funny. It's funny because the writing I did for you guys, like, got me opportunities with other things as well, which was like so cool. And when I was interviewed so the Baltimore Times had written about me, introducing me to their audience, right? And I had mentioned you guys and I had thanked you guys for giving me a platform to expand myself as a writer because you allowed me to really branch out to other places when it came to writing and just other musical things. So but what had me starting reviews was I'm a huge fan of like podcast, and I'm a huge fan of like Complex, the media outlet.
Yeah.
And I always said to myself, wow, man, a lot of these people that are on here that have this platform to critique, they've never done music themselves, or if they do, they're not musicians,
Yeah, exactly.
So I said, well, if these guys who aren't actually inside of the art can do this reviews thing, then why can't I? And on top of that, my father's an English professor, so he's always really been into writing, and he kind of inspired me too a little bit. Like, my dad grades papers for a living, right? Essays. So I was like, man, let me give this thing a try, So I had written 2 jazz reviews already for this course I was taking for music industry in Pennsylvania. And I had written these jazz reviews, and I got pretty good feedback and comments on the jazz reviews that I did. Yeah. And actually,
I think that's what you
it
sent
is what I sent you guys. Exactly.
I remember reading. Yeah.
Yeah, I sent you guys the jazz reviews. Exactly, it is. And from there I just got going. And hopefully the artists I wrote about enjoyed
Amazing.
it. Yeah.
Yeah, but the thing is that I for the same reasons that you just described that you were interested in, that was the reason that I wanted to get some musicians writing, because I'm a musician, and the whole reason I set it up was from a musician's perspective, right. Rather than just, I guess, a random critic. Right. So it was interesting to get people writing who are maybe from a particular genre, maybe R&B or hip hop or even metal, and get them to listen to other types of music and try and hear the qualities in that and see if it changes your perspective a little bit creatively.
Yeah, I think. Yeah.
Which brings me to my next question. Do you think that it does have an effect on the way that you listen to music when you're listening to analyze it, I guess?
No doubt. I was being interviewed I was interviewing someone else a month ago, and somehow it turned into them interviewing me at one point. And he's a broadcaster. He's a radio guy, and he was saying how he he will watch other interviews and he'll like dissect it too much instead of just enjoying it. And
yeah,
when it comes to music, I'm really big on the engineering side of music. Oh my goodness, Rebecca, listen, I'm huge on engineering, man. Like when I listen to music, I'm like, okay, how much EQ did they put on this? How much bass and trebles in the voice? Like that's even more so than the music and the lyrics itself. So I'm huge on engineering, yeah. And I think I'm so big on it because one thing I could never figure out when I first started was like, yo, the music sounds cool, the track sounds cool, the instruments sound cool, all that, but your engineering just sucks, bro. This is me talking to myself, you know?
Yeah.
And I would try everything and I would turn things down. So what I started doing was I just started listening to mainstream music. You know, the stuff that the record labels are behind and pay thousands of dollars for, you know, to their engineers.
To make sure it's crisp and clean and yeah.
Exactly. And when I'm not gonna give too many secrets out here, but I'm just kind of giving like an overview, like, and I would listen. And one person I listened to, believe it or not, regardless of what you think of his music or his image or anything, was like Lil Uzi Vert's production team is ridiculously clean. And I was listening to his sound, and I was like, yo, how to recreate this engineering style in my music, right? So I spent like, this is no joke, man. Anybody in my house could tell you, I spent a week of doing nothing but just sitting in my room, sitting in the car with headphones on, listening to Uzi's music, and not from a standpoint of entertainment, but from a standpoint of technicality. And I figured out the sound. So I'll just let it go. I'll just say it. So I couldn't figure out like why my sound didn't sound like it was like bouncing. It sounded too dry, right? And I was like, well, I have reverb on it. I was trying to use echo, and the echo wasn't really working. That sounded weird. So I was like, what is it that Uzi has? And I was listening so deeply, and I realized Uzi has like a very quiet and really subtle like layer of delayed vocals. And the only way I figured this out was just literally from listening to it. And I went back to my music and I started putting like a lower layer of like delayed vocals into it, and it completely changed my sound. And it's funny, when I started getting that engineering style, that's when my music started to pick up a lot more traction and started to sound a lot more professional. So, you know,
seems like such a simple thing, but obviously makes
that's the craziest
difference.
part. It's like I spent 6 years trying to engineer, and it's something that simple. Yeah,
that's cool. I've not listened to much of his music, to be honest. I'll have to go and check it out.
Yeah, real unique dude, man. Very unique sound.
So do you think you'd ever go into the field of just producing for other people, for other artists?
Wow, I just had this conversation the other day, really. You know, I think I could right now, actually, if I wanted to engineer. I feel like I can make a real decent living off engineering, because I still do it from time to time on the side, but that's just not where my heart lays right now. You know what I mean?
Oh, okay, fair enough.
And I feel like I feel like I could easily say, yo, this is what I want to do. Engineer, you know, an engineer literally for a living. Because when I do it from time to time on the side, you know, it's a good time, you know, and everybody enjoys the product they get back. But my heart really doesn't lay there right now, you know. So
okay,
yeah.
So do you generally mix it up genre wise when you go out to shows, or like the ones that you're reviewing at the minute, or do you tend to stick with a certain style of music?
This is me as a reviewer, right?
You as a reviewer, but also as a music fan, I guess.
Okay. Yeah. So currently, this is just happens to be what it is so far. Currently, I've only reviewed, let's see, a Wale show. So basically, it's just been hip hop so far, honestly. And I think mainly because I'm trying to reach this younger crowd right now, because like our demographic at the paper right now is like it's like 45 to 60, right? Which is cool, you know, which is all right, you know. But when they partner with us, they were like, yo, we want you to reach the younger crowd. And you know, what do younger kids love more right now than hip hop? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, no, hip hop's huge at the minute.
Yeah, hip hop is huge right now, and I think it's the number one genre in the U.S. So yeah, I've just been doing hip hop stuff, but honestly, I wanted to review a David Byrne show, that I thought was coming here in Baltimore, but I completely had my dates messed up. But I think I'm gonna go see David Byrne in like January. Yeah.
I just listen to your story, what you need tonight. You just taking out and taking out a bite. Took you to the home, I like it, make it a night. Making this your home, I guess you staying tonight. And I don't know how I feel about that. That's why they come and go when I just made that. Hoes come and go, that's why when I come and go. Hoes come and go, I guess when I come they go. I ain't here to judge, babe. I just wanna make you wait. I just wanna make you wait. I just wanna make you touch. I just wanna make you wait. I just wanna make you go. And I don't care about your weight. Fat is sicker than a Snicker. Ooh, you're thicker than a Snicker. Allergic to the peanut butter. Guess you're sicker than a Snicker. I just need you away. I just need you today. I just need you to stay, babe. Making this your home for the night. I got that you made me for the night. I guess I can make it for the night. I guess I just need you for the night. Don't take this the wrong way. I just want you today. I guess you know in the way. Jiffin' and get out the way. Jiffin' and get out the way. I guess they want me to say it. I guess you want me to lay it. I guess you want me to say it. Take me to over the home. Take me to the back of the home. Take me to the back of your home. Tell me if you at home. Look like a ball to me. Look like a club to me. Clubbing and clubbing away. Tiger they want me to say. I guess you take me to woods, babe. I guess you want me like what, babe? I guess you do me like what's that? I guess you tell me like what's that? I guess you play like 6 and 9. I guess you want me like 6 and 9. I guess you want me like overtime. I guess you need me like overtime. Luke said 500K was the move. Hey, I gotta get up and move. I gotta get up and groove. Hey, I gotta get up and groove. I know she want me today. I know she need it today. I guess I'm paying my way. I guess I'm paving my way. I guess this your home for the night. That you stay in the night. For the night. I guess this your home for the night, babe. For the night, babe. I guess that's your home for the night, babe. For the night, babe. I guess this your home for the night ago. I guess this your home for the night ago. I see that you know. I see that you know. She called me your money, but she screaming Swano. I guess this you need it, guess you need it for you go. I guess this you need it, guess you need it for you go. We can chill out, I guess remember for you go. And she'll remember my name if she going all the way home. And she'll remember my name if she going all the way home.
Okay, I wanted to ask if you would be able to give us like a few tips or steps that you would advise to like up and coming musicians if they want to start building a career and get to this. You say that you're at the mid kind of point or the teenage stage. Like what advice would you give to the bedroom artists that haven't quite made it any further out?
Yeah, so you have to, one thing I think that we miss as artists is not just the hard work aspect of things, but the studying of music itself and the studying of what you want to do. For example, when I just gave the Uzi thing and the engineering thing, I stopped just creating music and I started to study music. And I started to figure out, what is this sound? What are they doing that's different? And also, I started to see and read up on what other artists did to get to the point in which they're at. But I'm talking about deep, deep reading. I'm talking about going to Wikipedia, reading, hitting the reference, and then just diving in from there and just finding other references and other things. Like, I don't know if you're familiar with Brent Faiyaz from the group Sonder.
No, I don't think so.
So Brent is a guy who just he's a guy, man, who lived like 25 minutes from me, who had never really paid too much attention to. And now he's just kind of blown up. He has one song with like 80 million views on YouTube. And, he's touring, doing this and that. And
I'm sorry, I know the group Sonder. I just didn't realize that.
Oh, yeah, the lead singer is Brent Faiyaz. Right.
Okay, cool.
So he did something called a Sofar Sounds. And he did, Sofar Sounds in LA. I think Sofar Sounds started in London, right?
Yeah, it's huge over here.
Yeah.
Really
I know I'm doing one in Florida in like next month on the 8th. So.
Oh, that's amazing.
Yeah, thank you. So I'm watching the Brent video and I'm like, yo, this has so many views. What is this? Like how can I become a part of this? So, I did my research and I got denied many times over the last year. And thank God, things have just started to come through for me last 5 or 6 months. And now I'm doing Sofar. But, but why am I doing Sofar now, Rebecca? Because I didn't just watch Brent for entertainment. I didn't just watch him, in awe that the fact that this guy used to live 20 minutes from me. I was watching him with purpose.
Yeah.
And I was studying him with purpose. So, I would tell young artists, man, listen, your favorite artists, study them. Study how they lived, how they got where they got. Look at the platforms that they connected with. Because honestly, some of the platforms aren't as hard to connect with as you think. And some of them are as hard as you think. And then, you just got to go about the right way to get yourself to that level. So, I would just tell young artists to really do a lot of studying.
100%. So hang on, let's back up a little bit. So you saw him do a Sofar Sound and then you applied to them. Is that what you're saying? A couple of times and they didn't get back to you?
I applied to Sofar Sounds. Like, I think I applied to like, if you combine all of the cities and combine how many times I applied, I think I've maybe like 400 something submissions. And, yeah, I was denied. But looking back at it, I was mad at the time, but now fast forward, looking at my life, my music wasn't as good and my performances weren't as good as they are now.
So you're in a way better position now to put out something
exactly
with them.
So I waited another 8 months and I reapplied 8 months later. And then I got replies back from like 10 different cities. And I applied to way less cities this time.
That's amazing.
Yeah,
that's really inspiring.
Yeah, thank you.
And important. Yeah, and I think a lot of people just would get the knockback or would be ignored, and they would be like, "Oh, that's it," It's kind of game over, and they would give up.
Yeah, they would say, "Forget it."
That's really cool.
Exactly. And that's the censored way to say it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly. So what's the date that you're doing that?
I'm doing Sofar Sounds on December 8th in Tampa Bay.
December 8th.
Yeah,
okay.
December 8th. Yep. Well, it's in St. Petersburg, but it's Tampa though. It's the Tampa branch.
Yeah. Okay. Who do you currently admire in the mainstream world then? And yeah, we'll start with that question.
In the mainstream world, who do I admire? Wow, that's tough. In the mainstream world, and we're talking about like right now, right?
Yeah, like the sort
current mainstream. Got you.
This year,
I would say probably Daniel Caesar, man, because Daniel Caesar kind of has a background of being trained as well. And it's funny, I just learned that his first 2 tour stops were in Baltimore and Silver Spring, which is right outside DC, but it's still in Maryland.
So you can try and go?
Yeah, I didn't go.
Oh, right.
Yeah, it passed already.
Oh,
so
okay.
He has a beautiful voice. He understands music from a standpoint of technicality because you can tell by the way he sings. He sounds great over guitar. He plays guitar, and I think the guy is just an overall just great musician. And he's natural. And after Daniel, I would have to say I admire Frank as well. Frank Ocean.
Okay.
Frank is just, his last album, Blonde, just really put him on another level for me. I wasn't a huge Frank fan at all. I really wasn't. I was not a huge Frank fan at all, man. If anything, I think I kind of disliked Frank's music for a little while. But now it's the complete opposite. You know, he had his album. I'm sorry.
No, I was just gonna say, what made you want to listen to this album then if you weren't a fan?
Because Luke, my friend Luke, man, like I said, the video guy, he started playing some Frank stuff, and I'm listening like, this isn't bad. This is actually all right. So when Blonde came out, I'm just like, yo, let's go. Let's give it a shot. And I listened to the whole album like 4 times, straight up and down. And I said, yo, this guy barely had any drums on this album. This guy barely had any commercial type of sounds. And he barely had any sort of commercial lyricism or anything that people really want to hear. And it's just beautiful, beautiful music. And I admired that. And really being a guy who works so closely with a guitarist, hearing how he used guitar on the album really was like, yo, it made me musically closer to my guitarist, man. I was like, yo, if this is what a vocalist and a guitarist can do, like, it inspired me to kind of like just take our situation to the next level.
Yeah.
So I'll say Frank Ocean and Daniel Caesar.
Okay. Do you play any instruments?
I play the saxophone and the piano. Yep.
You play the saxophone? That's incredible.
Yeah, actually, on my song Consistency, it's actually me on the saxophone.
Oh, really? That's awesome.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yep.
Would you take that any further and like lead your song with it, or would it always just be a thing that featured?
You know, all my buddies want me to pull out the sax on Saturday in Lancaster. But we perform like a rock show, even though the music is not rock, it's like R&B ish. But we perform like it's rock. If you ever, I don't know, for anyone who's ever watched any of our performances, you know what I mean. But I don't know if I'd have the wind capacity for that, the stamina to even play and then perform the way I do. But to answer your question, I actually made a small little EP on the saxophone. I just never released it. It's called Boulder's Blood. That's
cool. How did you end up playing saxophone? How did that even come into your life?
Yeah, I started playing the sax, man, because I wanted to play the trumpet. And everybody, we had a class where we were supposed to learn about different instruments, and I wanted to play a trumpet because Miles Davis is my number one musical influence in the world.
Okay.
And I dropped my mouthpiece. And I don't know, man. I'll never forgive this teacher for this. I'm not even going to say her name. But she told me some nonsense like, you know, you dropped the mouthpiece and we need some kind of special material to clean it, and you can't play the trumpet now. So the whole trumpet thing kind of got thrown out the window. Now, if I was the same person now as I was back then, I would have definitely fought that, and I definitely would have played the trumpet. Yeah. But I didn't. So I said, well, let's try the saxophone. Why not? So I tried the saxophone a year later at the age of 10. This was kind of like my redemption, you know. And you know, I started playing the sax, man. I started to really enjoy jazz because my dad always played a lot of Miles around me. You know, Kinda Blue, Tutu. So he always played a lot of Miles around me. So I really got into the jazz, and you know, saxophone was one of the most prominent instruments in jazz. So I just kind of stuck with it. You know, I started when I was like 10, and I just turned 20 like 3 weeks ago. So
that's really cool. That's a nice like angle. I guess you don't want to utilize it too much as this quirky thing, but it's definitely a nice touch.
I do not, Rebecca. You're right, because that's funny. I did an interview for this thing called the Songster series, which is like it's actually, it won Baltimore Magazine Concert of the Year, and he wanted me to bring the sax to the show. But I feel like if I'm trying to establish myself with a certain image, I don't want people to be like, oh yeah, Imani Wj Wright, the guy that plays the sax. It's the like, sax guy, the sax guy, yeah, but not really, you know.
That's fair enough.
Yeah.
What was the other instrument that you said you played?
Oh, the piano.
Oh, piano. Okay, cool.
Yeah. I'm looking. Listen, last year when we performed, when we had like in October we performed every week of October last year, and I played the piano for every one of those shows. And it was because things were a lot more laid back, I guess. And my music just kind of allowed me to play the piano and kind of chill out on stage. And my movement wasn't as back and forth as it is now in my performance style. But I would love to bring the piano back on stage sometime soon. You know, I might do it for Sofar Sounds, I'm thinking. I don't know yet. But
So
Yeah.
the show that you're going to do on Saturday is going to be like an energetic thing, I assume.
Oh my goodness, Rebecca, it's going to be a party.
Okay, and what's the
It's
contrast
gonna
going to be when you do the Sofar Sounds? Are you going to be sat down? Is it going to be like an acoustic setting?
Yeah, the Sofar is going to be. Listen, the Sofar is going to be a lot more chill. It's going to be, yeah, it's going to be a lot more chill, I guess. Yeah, more. I mean, it's not going to be me going back and forth,
No, of course. What do you think you have a preference out of those two types of gig?
Do I have a preference?
Yeah, do you think you prefer like the energetic style, or do you like the intimate kind of one where you can see everybody's faces and you can interact with them and stuff?
Honestly, I really like, and this is not to be funny, but like all my band members know it. Like my catchphrase on stage is, keep it sexy. Like I always tell them that. I'm always whispering that to them, like tell them that, like, yo, keep it sexy, man. Like, so really, I love intimate. I mean, when I have to do a show like SOBs in New York, when it's like, a good amount of people there and people screaming and drinking and having a good time. Like I love that type of vibe. But me and Moo's, like I said, the guitarist, when we do like intimate type of things, it's just a whole different type of feeling. And it's just a beautiful, just tranquil and just artistic vibe that comes from intimate performances.
Yeah.
So for me, on a personal level, I love intimate performances more so than... It's not even more so. Let me just say this. It's a different type of feel.
No, I know.
I just happen
to...
You know what I mean? I just happen to love that feel that comes from intimate shows, yeah.
It's important to be versatile and to be able to do both, but it's also nice that you slightly prefer that, because a lot of people are just like, no, I want the huge crowd, I want it to be noisy, and there's a different kind of artistry.
It's cool sometimes.
Yeah, for sure. No, I'm sure, yeah. But no, that's nice. Okay,
what do you prefer?
It's a tricky one. I've only ever performed just solo with a guitar, really. So I like the intimate thing, because you can kind of, you can speak to everybody that's there in between, and you can communicate a little bit better. But on the bigger stages that I've stood on also, that's a completely different kind of feeling. So I don't know. Yeah, similar answer to you, I guess. Yeah. I was going to ask what was the best album that you'd heard this year, but would you say the Frank one?
It's funny. The Frank one came out in 2016, but it's been on the Billboard 200 for who knows how long.
Oh, okay.
Let's see. The best album I listened to this year, man. Oh, gosh. Wow. I haven't really heard any entire projects this year that have caught my attention. I mean, Astroworld was okay as a project, but it had a lot of great singles.
Yeah.
The Drake album, that was pretty cool. As a project, it was all right, but it had some really great singles on it. So I haven't really heard any amazing albums this year. I guess the Daniel Caesar album that came out last year, that's pretty hot. That's pretty hot. Yeah.
How do you go about what you listen to then when you're out? Like, just do you have Spotify playlists, or do you have? How do you choose what to listen to just for fun?
Just for fun. I mean, I love trap. That's a secret. I love trap music, man. Yeah. I don't write about trap, obviously. I don't really go to a lot of trap shows, but just kind of like my little alter ego, I just really love trap, man. So I listen to a lot of Juice WRLD, Future, Lil Baby, Gunna, all those guys.
Yeah.
And it just kind of keeps me hyped. Like for example, I'm doing a TED Talk on the art of writing in 2 weeks, right? And like, what's keeping me?
TED Talk.
Yeah, I'm doing a TED Talk. Yeah. Tell me about it. I'm distressed.
You like, don't sound stressed.
Thank you.
You sound like you're handling it really well.
I'm glad I'm glad it comes off that way. Because I'm like in the middle of, all right, so I got the TED Talk to prepare for in 10 days. And then I have a show in 5 days. So it's like, it's just balancing time,
Trying to balance. Yeah.
Yeah. And
sure. Sorry, go on.
Nah, no problem. So yeah, for the whole TED, man, it's like I practice my TED, I'm writing my TED Talk, and then I listen to some Juice WRLD and Future. You know what I mean? So
okay, yeah.
It just kind of keeps me hyped during the day. It keeps me energized.
Yeah. No, I know what you mean. What's your TED Talk going to be on again? Sorry.
Erasing the Myths of Writing. So it's you know, I mean, I'll send you the link when it comes out. But it's going to hone in. Yeah, it's going to hone in on different secrets to writing and whatnot. And it's going to be a little, it's going to be a little twist in there, but you'll see it. Yeah.
No, well, this was the thing that I liked about your reviews, was that you're not just your perspective, but that your writing style is, I don't know, it surprised me how eloquent you were, I guess, you know, there were these long form lines in the articles, and if I would have reviewed the same song, I would never have been able to word it like that, or, you know, I wouldn't even think to say that. But then reading you say it just was like, oh, of course, yeah, that's absolutely the perfect way of describing that moment in that song. And I really liked that about your articles and the stuff that I'd read, you know, that you've done since. So I'd definitely be interested in hearing your TED talk about that for sure.
Wow. Yeah, that means a lot to me, honestly. That's crazy. Yeah, that means a lot to me, really. That's actually even crazy to hear.
Oh, good. No, it's absolutely, it's true. It's just nice. Yeah, it's nice, obviously, reading other people's writing and the way that they address it, but particularly with the ones that you did, because I think I sent you a couple that probably weren't your kind of thing as well, if I remember right.
You know what's so funny? Honestly, every song you sent me, which is so funny, every song you sent me, I still listen to some of them to this day. Especially cool. Especially the rock ones. I think there's a song by Judas that was really, really dope. Yeah, that Judas song was crazy dope, man.
That's awesome.
And one more, man. It was like a video, and a guy's like he's like walking to the ocean or something. And I don't know. Most of the songs I really, really enjoyed, honestly. I'm not saying I disliked any of the songs, but some of them I still listen to right now. Yeah.
No, that's really cool. No, I guess wait till you're a bit less busy, but it'd be cool for you to write something else for us. Yeah. At some point.
Definitely.
So you've got loads of stuff coming up, I guess. Have you got a plan for throughout 2019, or do you not operate in that way? You're just gonna go with the flow?
I always work in like a 6-month plan, you know. And sometimes the people in my crew don't always see it that far ahead. But I guess that's my job, right? So yeah, we're hoping to do South by Southwest in Texas in March. And by that time,
how do you go about it?
Oh, you have to apply for it. For any artist that want to try to do it, you have to apply for it. I think they get 7,000 submissions a year. So
right, and you send a live video
recording website. I can't even remember Rebecca at this point. I know it costs $55. I can tell you that.
Oh wow!
Live video recording. You have to write. Actually, it's almost like a doggone college, like a university essay, man. Like you have to write when you go to South by Southwest. What are you looking to accomplish? What kind of people are you looking to meet? Like you have to really give your explanation of why you want to be there and how you will use it in the future. You know, it's really an intricate.
That's quite nice.
Yeah,
it gets you thinking about that.
Yeah, it's really an intricate and detailed application process.
Have you been to South by Southwest?
Have I ever been?
Sorry, yeah.
I've never been, but I'm in something called Grammy U, which are like some of the top artists in the U.S. that they take for like the Grammy committee or whatever. And they invited me to go last year, but I didn't go. It was they only give one ticket. I'm just like, I'm not going to a music festival by myself. That's weird. You know what I mean? Like,
okay.
You know.
Oh, okay, fair enough. Well, hopefully you get to play it.
Hopefully that'll be a great time. They have something called the Artist Village, which sounds like the Olympics, right? Well, that's kind of what they're trying to like mirror. You know what I mean? Like the Artist Village, the Olympic Village, and all that type of thing. I'm really looking forward to that because I don't know, it just seems like a lot of fun. And then they have something called the Artist Village After Dark, and I'm just like, what is that about? You know, what is the Artist Village After Dark? You know, what does that entail? So yeah, it should be a good time.
Amazing. Awesome. No, it's been really nice chatting with you, actually. I think you're obviously one of the hardest working independent artists at the moment. I'm really inspired by everything that you're doing, but it's also nice that you're very positive. You know, you're very obviously you say that you're stressed at the moment, but it doesn't come through. You come through as quite, you know, just this bubbly and kind of energetic
thank you
kind of person, which is really nice. It's really good. I hope everything goes well. I'm looking forward to seeing your TED talk, and and the show from this Saturday on the Sofar Sounds, if any of that ends up online at some point.
Thank you. I was looking forward to hearing your accent. I really was.
How did it play out?
I talk to a lot of people from iLive Radio, and they're based in the UK. And I'm always talking to them down there, so it came out how I thought it would.
Whereabouts are they? Are they in London?
Yeah, they're in London. Yep. Oh my, you don't know about iLive Radio?
I'm from Manchester. No, I don't think so.
Oh, you need to connect with them,
iLive.
Rebecca. Seriously, like, oh my God, seriously. I think you guys can come up with like some kind of like collaborative thing. Like, I can see it. Like, I have a vision. Like, listen, you guys are really, really independent artists. Like,
yeah.
Oh my God, Matt, I'm gonna tell somebody. I'm gonna tell people about you. Actually, like, legitimately, I think you really need to know about them. Yeah.
Okay, cool. That would be good. You could hook us up.
Yeah.
We'll get something going. Amazing. Is there anything else you want to say or let people know about? Or?
I'm hoping to be in the UK like next summer sometime, doing a show down there.
Ah, nice.
Yeah. So.
Okay. Just the one or a little tour?
No, it would just be like one show. But we'll see. You know what I mean? We'll see.
Yeah, for sure.
I'm pretty sure it'll be like near Birmingham. So.
Okay.
Yeah, mostly because that's where my quote unquote fans are. I can't stand using that word, but that's where my listeners are, I should say.
No, that's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's easy enough to get to.
Yeah.
That's cool. Awesome. Well, have an amazing show on Saturday anyway, and thank you so much for taking the time to come and chat.
Thank you. It was a great time talking to you.